Hi, this is Larry the Barberman, and today we are going to discuss how to deal with UK Andis T Outliner trimmers that feel like they're lacking in power and they're not cutting. Now, in most instances, this is the tension. The tension is how tightly squeezed the two blades are together. Now, if the tension is not in the correct position and the blades are not squeezed tightly in the right position, this can impair the cutting position. To better demonstrate this, let's use this piece of A4 paper here. If I wanted this A4 paper to sit straight on this back wall here and I didn't have it dead in the center, then it's going to fall to the side. So I want this to stand straight. If I have it there, it will stand straight. If I move the position of my finger to there, we know it's going to fall. So let's take away this analogy of keeping it straight and let's think about this as clipper performance. So in order for you to get the best clipper performance, the tension needs to be the right amount of tension in the right place on the blade. If it's not, then the performance will be poor. Just the same way that if my finger is not in the center and on the left, it will fall and not stay straight. So just try and use the paper analogy and tie that in with the blade tension. So we want the tension to be in the right place and the right amount of tension in order to get the right performance. Right, so I hope that actually makes sense. Right, so for the purpose of this demonstration, let's have a starting point on where this clipper is. It's really poor. So if you see when I turn this on, you can see that it's not cutting and you can hear it's not cutting. Yeah, so at the moment this is pretty much hopeless. This is never going to help a barber in any shape or form with that particular kind of cutting performance. So like I said, we're going to perform a tension adjustment on this clipper to bring it right back where it should be to get the cutting performance. For this, we need a small Phillips screwdriver. What I also want to do, because a lot of people say that they do adjust this and then it slips. So what I'm going to demonstrate with you today is a way to adjust it and lock it so it doesn't keep slipping and sliding so frequently when you make the adjustment. So like I said, you'll need the Phillips screwdriver, any alcohol or aftershave, because we need to cut away oil and grease. So we're going to do that with any alcohol. I'm doing it with a cologne. And you need some thread locker. This is basically glue for a screw. Yeah, if that makes sense. I've got a cotton swab. It's my last one, so it's a little bit dirty, but you know, it's better to get, rather than trying to get it right, I'm getting it going. And that's what you need to do as barbers as well when it comes to keeping your clippers and trimmers in tip-top condition, rather than sending them away and being without your favorite tools for a prolonged period of time. Right, so let's get started. UK T Outliner, unlike the American ones, you haven't got the 2 screws here. You have 4 screws on the back, so we're going to use this Phillips screwdriver to undo the 4 screws and get down to this tension adjustment operation. So go straight into it. Like I always say in all my demonstrations, work with a corrugated mat or a towel, because you don't want to lose your screws during any of these operations. So we're just getting straight down to it and get these screws out so we can get inside. Oh, and I would recommend turning it off as well. Or actually, may as well just leave it on, because it needs to be on to see where we are in terms of tension. Right, that's your 4 screws there. So place your T outliner down flat, gently unfold the top from the bottom. The reason I say gently is because these screws are wires are very fragile. Just unfold it there, and at the back lift the wire away from the outlet. This is the main power wire in. Now, hopefully the camera can pick it up here. This here, this hooked thing here, this is your tension spring. And this, on top of the tension spring, is your tension screw. Now, if you remember back to the sheet of paper, and I was talking about the position, I need the center position to keep the paper straight. With the tension screw, what that does, that alters the position of the tension screw, and it also alters the amount of tension on the blade. Now at the moment, you'll see it's in pretty much a half the circle position. In order to get optimum performance from, as you see there, it's pretty much half a circle. Now on paper it says that this should be higher up, so you've pretty much got half a moon shape. Now don't take this as gospel, because everybody's tension spring might be in a different state or a different condition. So this is something you need to play with. Your barbers, you cut yourself at home, you know when this clipper is performing right. So it could be a trial and error process where you need to bring the tension close to that little sliver or that half moon position. Test it. It doesn't work, take it higher. It doesn't work, take it higher. It worked better before, take it lower. So you've got to keep playing with. There's no set thing. You're a barber, you cut your own hair, you cut your client's hair. You know when this is performing right. So on paper, I'm going to perform what I said and bring it to more of a slither and a half moon shape. Now I'm working live here, so be very careful where you put your fingers. So I'm turning my screw now anti-clockwise, and in turning it anti-clockwise, that deeper half moon now has become more of a slither. It's a skinnier thing. So I think just based on doing that little adjustment, let me see where I am. So I'm turning anti-clockwise to bring it higher, and I'm looking for that little bit more than a slither. Now what you do, because remember we've taken these two things apart, if you look on your T outliner, you're going to see like a notch has been cut out of this arm. It's like a little groove notch has been cut out. This is where you want the black wire to sit, because you don't want it crossing the mechanism. So just basically put that, rest that black wire there, and you'll also notice there's a mold. Slip the mold back in, and then you gently put it back together. And when you put it back together, you'll notice that the red wire and the brown wire may be sticking out. I'll show you there. So what you do, just gently tuck those in and then squeeze it back tight. I wouldn't recommend tightening it up, because remember we're working on a trial and error basis here. We're doing whatever we can just to get the maximum cut. I normally do this on my own hair, but I've kind of just had my hair cut, so I can't really do it on my own hair. So I'm going to work with this piece of human hair. And now you will see that cutting. That is just by adjusting the tension screw. For me, that is hitting pretty hard. Yeah? And remember, that was just from simply taking that from the half moon, the deep half moon, to the slither. Now, that's hitting really, really hard. You may know where you want that to be. So what I would do if I was you, I would take that sliver higher. Test it again. See if it works better or if it works worse. Then if it's worse, you go a little bit higher. If you go higher and then the performance drops, then you know you've got to drop it down to the last step where you were before, and that's hitting at its hardest point for you. Now this was actually, I put a post on Instagram the other day about these new UK T Outliners, and there was like 16, 17 comments saying that they're bad, the power drops and everything like that. And the one that was crying the hardest, I actually went to his shop today in Enfield and picked it up, and I performed this operation. So ads, as you see, it's just about finding the right spot and you'll get your tension and your power back again. Assuming that was the optimum position, what I want to do now is again unfold this. Actually, I'm going to take the power out now because I know that that's nice. Fold it, take your power cable out gently and unfold it. Now what I want to do, Ads was also complaining that it never sticks to where it is. So this next step, I've never seen it on any of the YouTube videos. I'm going to show you a way of locking it. So what we're going to do, we're going to use this cologne, which has got alcohol, and I want to cut away all the grease that's all around this area here. So I'm purposely going in for the tension screw in particular and the tension spring. And I'm basically just cleaning away all the oil that may be in that position. Because what it is, like I said to you, I'm going to be applying thread locker, which is essentially like a screw glue. However, should you want to loosen the screw, it just breaks the bond quite easily. Yeah, so I would say that that now is pretty much free of all grease. Yeah, so I've cleaned that off with the alcohol, and this is what I was talking to you about, which is the thread locker. So what you do with this thread locker, open it up, fill that chamber, and then what you want to do, you don't splodge it all around, you just basically want to create one line across it. So I'll show you exactly what I mean. I'll tilt this here. So this is the position that I know is giving me, assuming this is the optimum cut. Just one line. So what that's doing now, that's locking that screw in position. If you need to change it at a later date, you just put the screwdriver in, turn it, it breaks it. But it's not, with that there, it can no longer keep slipping, as Ads was complaining about. Okay, so with that done, we're going to put the clipper back together. So like I was saying, in order to put this back together, now that you've got the glue, ensure that this side of the wire, you've got the armature. You'll see that there's a little notch taken out of the armature. That is where you want to sit that wire, because the last thing you want to do is going across this casing and cutting the wire. So ensure that that's in there, tucked in there, and just use your screwdriver and ensure that the other part of the wire is sitting inside the casing. Then place the left hand side of the casing back on and observe. Make sure that this wire on the other side is not sticking out. Once you can see it's not sticking out, hold it tightly, turn it onto its back, place all 4 screws in, tighten one corner, then the other corner, that's that. Now we don't want to disturb the glue, the thread locker, which I put across the screw. So we're just going to give this about 5 or 10 minutes just to set. And then once it's set, then it will be a good idea to re-oil your blade. So I'm just going to give that 5 to 10 minutes, re-oil it, and then we'll run it again. So I've left that for 10 minutes now, giving the thread locker an opportunity to dry. So now we know that our setting is locked into position, and there you go, you're all set. That's one T outliner now set with thread locker. You're good to go. That should hold its position for quite some time now. So if you found this tutorial helpful, I'd ask that you subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'll be having plenty more tutorials on how to keep your clippers and trimmers in tip-top condition. So that's another demonstration from Larry the Barber Man. I hope you found it helpful. Thank you.